Prashant Rao, and thought I'll do a video on metals, particularly silver, since there's been a lot of interest in this. Um, Now, the thing with metals is it's incredibly hard to get these things right. But if you do, then there's an opportunity to make some real big bucks. But the caveat is you have to get it right. And if you ever get on the wrong side of a trade and metals, I mean, it can chop around for weeks and even months. So the opportunity, and that takes away the opportunity cost for you if you want to do something else, because now you're stuck in this sideways action, and as a result of that, you don't want to get out because you've already made a big loss. So you get into a rut, and the last thing you want to do as a trader is to be in that situation. So, how do we get this right? And why is it so hard to trade metals? Uh, First of all, the number one reason why it's so hard is usually because most people are extremely over leveraged when it comes to trading metals. Just to give you a sense, if you were trading one silver contract and the price of silver moves up by $1, then you're talking about a $15,000 gain. That's with one single contract. And similarly, if it goes down, you're talking about a negative $15,000 uh, loss. So one has to be extremely careful, um, and we're trading multiple contracts. It can get even riskier. So um, one has to ensure that they do enough due diligence before entering these trades. Why is it so hard to trade these metals? Now, for that, let's look at an hourly or a 4-hour chart. Let's try a 4-hour and see if an hour. Now, normally when I look at metals, I never look at something of this granularity because this doesn't give you any picture at all. Uh, you have no idea what's going to happen. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Here it's looking like it's going to go up. All of a sudden it comes back, right? So if you thought that the price of silver is going to go up, and in fact you manage to somehow enter at the right place, you can see the kind of action that happens here, right? So it goes all the way up, makes you feel like you're making big gains, then comes down, and then there is fear, and then goes back all the way up even higher, and then comes down even lower. And then when it gets to this point, most people would get scared out of that trade. And then it makes you feel like it's going up. You get in, and the next thing you know, it's gone down by $2. Right? So you can get caught up in this kind of action very easily if you're looking at hourly charts. And I challenge you to go and try to play this on an hourly chart because it is just incredibly difficult. Any entry point is almost guaranteed to, silver is almost guaranteed to retrace back there at some point. So if you enter thinking it's best possible trade, it's going to come back. And you can see that happen over and over and over again. Right? In fact, if you look at this, if you manage to get in here at this wonderful breakout area and think that, oh, I got in at such a price that it's never going to come back here again. Guess what? It's going to come back, and it probably already has. There you go, 25.50. So one has to be pretty impeccable at timing these trades with metals because they are truly, truly treacherous and very, very hard to trade. So with that, uh, let's go into how you figure out, uh, whether you should enter or exit. How do you analyze these metals? I always like to start off with a monthly chart. And if you look at the monthly chart, you will see that silver broke out of this double bottom pattern, the long, massive double bottom pattern. So it traded sideways for almost 9 years, which is a very, very long time. And there's an old saying, the bigger the base, the more into space. So once it crossed this neckline, you can see that there's tremendous amount of support. The retracement did just touch the neckline, but never really broke that one. So there are some exceptional scenarios where the metal might not ever retrace to a certain point, like the breakout area here. But keep in mind that you're looking at a monthly chart, not a 1 hour chart, 4 hour chart, a daily chart. So you need a lot of patience here. So now zoom into the weekly, look at some more recent action. And if you look at the more recent action, you will see on the weekly, you will see that there is a double bottom right across the neckline and shot up, and now we are retracing back. Just keep that in mind, and we'll get into more details and come back, revisit this. Let's go into the daily. Now, on the daily, you can see that price of there was this reverse head and shoulders at this point, and a reverse head and shoulders is a very, very powerful pattern. Along with that, you have an ascending triangle formation, so two very bullish patterns. And this was where I really started trading silver in a somewhat big way. So after the breakout from the reverse head and shoulders, there was a big, big emotional trade. So it just shot up and went all the way from $20 to almost $30 in a matter of days. Now, when you see action like this, you can be sure that you will see retracement at some point in time. And so I wrote this all the way up. And then you can see the amount of volatility right in silver. If so, it went all the way from 30 to 24.65. For those of you who weren't watching this at that time, I was actually in this trade, and this is a $6 drop, and this all happened in a matter of about 5 minutes, just to give you an idea of how fast the market can fall. Like this entire bar happened in a period of 5 minutes. And when you're sitting in that and you're highly levered up and something like this happens, it can be disastrous. So it takes a lot of positioning and preparation before you can go about trading this. And now, if you look at uh, analyze the patterns a bit more, it looked like a continuation pattern, but it turned out to be a big drop. Followed by that, we had a bunch of sideways action, eventually formed this double bottom. The thing about patterns is you never know whether they're double tops or double bottoms. For example, one could argue it is a double top. How do you know whether it's a double top or whether it's a double bottom? So the market always likes to trick you with patterns like this, so it's not entirely clear, uh, what's happening here, and that's why it's so important to look at larger time frames. And in the larger time frame, it's pretty clear. You have this key reversal which says it's going up, not so obvious on the daily, right? So you wouldn't know that from a daily chart. So these two, um, this double bottom here, in my mind, is the ultimate support. So I doubt that will break beyond this level. We still might retrace back, never know, although I highly doubt it. But this is probably as far as it will go. So um, that's that on silver. Let's look at gold. It's another very interesting situation, very similar. So if you notice on the gold side, it's a huge run up. Um, Around that, there were four tops, or if you want to look at it as descending triangle, of four tops, and then it dropped, and then there was a big key reversal here. So it formed a mini head and shoulders, right? So this was head, shoulders, neckline, and then it dropped all the way. And then there was this key reversal followed by a bunch of sideways action. So we don't know what this is going to turn out to be. It might go this way, or it might um, it might start to do this. So either of those two things can happen. So it's very important to be prepared. Um, this is an incredibly difficult market, so I would highly recommend that people do not take unnecessary risk, um, but the rewards can be pretty high. So that's the reason why metals are so difficult. And pattern analysis is also so difficult, as you saw. I mean, it's not clear at all whether it's double top, double bottom. So you need to be pretty well versed with how to analyze uh, technical patterns. So I was fortunate enough to learn this from somebody who worked for 35 years at Wall Street, major hedge funds like Bridgewater Associates. So it takes a lot. There's no computerized uh, site that can analyze this for you and tell you what the technical patterns are. You kind of have to draw all these structures by hand and try to understand what's going on. So yeah, so that's why it's so incredibly hard to trade these things. All right, so that's all I had for today, and thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.